Hello everybody, Captain Marty here, Tuesday, June the 30th. Wow, we are going to wind up June already and move into July on a big holiday weekend. Be a lot of people, probably more people boat fishing on the Outer Banks this weekend than any of the other major holiday weekends. I'm not so sure about the surf fishing, but I'm talking about boat fishing offshore and in the backcountry. So we do have some things to talk about in yesterday's report. However, it's really not great. There were a few bright points. This fishing is a little bit mediocre right now, but even a blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while. I'll tell you about one young fella that did that when I come back in just a moment.
Come and experience fishing for the whole family aboard the Crystal Dawn at Pirates Cove Marina in Manio. The Crystal Dawn is a roomy 65-foot headboat, fully equipped with the latest gear to give you the best fishing experience. Worried about getting seasick? Fear not. The Crystal Dawn stays in safer and shallower waters to lessen the likelihood of that happening. Half-day and private fishing trips are available. To find out more, go online to crystaldawnheadboat.com. The Crystal Dawn Headboat out of Pirates Cove. Fishing that is fun for all ages.
Experience why the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center is known as the fishing capital of the world. Drop a line with the largest charter fleet on the East Coast and chase tuna, mahi, marlin, cobia, and much more in legendary waters off the Outer Banks. Whether you're headed offshore for the big bite or just enjoying a laid-back inshore trip, the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center has everything anglers need. Expert captains, bait, tackle, fish cleaning services, and even a nice little restaurant overlooking the marina. Located at the north end of the Bass Knight Bridge, it's where Outer Banks fishing stories are made every single day. The Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. Play where the big boys play.
So we always start with the Hatteras Offshore Report. You know, I talk a lot about Ron Whitaker, captain of the Release, one of my favorite people, helps us a lot with reports and information. He just flew to Bermuda, or he might have even gone on one of the boats headed that way. By the way, Bermuda is roughly 600 miles from the Hatteras Sea Buoy to the Bermuda Sea Buoy. And we have several of our boats are over there right now. Bull Tolson's over there. Rom's over there now. While he's gone, his son, Rom the Fourth, Romulus Whitaker the Fourth, will be running the boat. He ran it yesterday, and he had a good day. They caught 25 or 30 blackfin tunas, which they're the small tunas, but you get them in the boat, so you got some meat. You can have some stuff on the grill. They're delectable, trust me. Caught a few dolphin, although the dolphin fishing was not really great. Then they decided, well, we got some meat. Let's slip on offshore a little deeper out there off the tip of Diamond Shoals. And they went out there and caught and released a 300-pound blue marlin and caught a wahoo as well. So the Release did really well. If you go by Hatteras Harbor, you might say hi to him. Let him know that you heard about it on the report, because these guys contribute this information, and we need to, like with all of our sponsors and contributors, we need to do business with them if we can. Inshore down that way, they've been catching a little bit of everything. There's quite a bit of drum and blue fishing going on. There's some amberjacks, a few sharks. The drum and blue fishing is both in the ocean, and we'll talk about it more when we get to the backcountry portion of the report. Then I called Jack Graham, captain of the Aficionado. Also, he's an advertiser and sponsor in our fishing guide and on this podcast series. And, you know, I don't do a Chamber of Commerce fishing report. Neither does he. He was very honest and said it was just a slow day. There continues to be a sign of billfish showing up. I know that Will Brown on the Trophy Hunter had 3 white marlin and a sailfish. He was the top hook today, according to Jack. But the yellowfin tuna were very scattered. None of those 150-pounders that we saw last week. Just a few billfish, a scattered dolphin, a scattered tuna, and that was kind of it. It was kind of hard going. Closer to the beach, they're doing pretty good on triggerfish and sea bass. And Jack and I were talking about that. These triggerfish are making a showing. And we also talked about how interesting it is how these fish cycle. Like we should have had better schooling yellowfin tuna this year than we've had. But everything is always changing. And if the fish come in from the east and they miss the exit ramp and don't get off at Oregon Inlet or Hatteras, they go round up the coast. And he kind of feels like some of the tuna are north of us right now. Plenty of bluefish and Spanish mackerel for the most part for our nearshore boats. Now we move on to terra firma, surf, fishing with your feet in the sand, don't need anything. I'd still wear a pair of shoes probably, but an old pair of tennis shoes because of the skates. Although I wouldn't worry too much about that. A slow kind of mix is the best I can tell you from north to south. No real great fishing anywhere, but the mix includes sea mullets, probably at the head of the list. Then there's croakers, there's blowtoads, there's small sharks, and there's been a lot of bluefish and Spanish mackerel. But the bluefish and Spanish mackerel, they come by in schools. Mostly they're being caught on the surface, and you got to have a metal rig and be ready to cast to them. But that's really about all there is to report. There was a nice speckled trout caught on Jeanette's Pier. We'll move over to the pier report. 74 degrees was the temperature there. First thing this morning, they caught a nice speck. Then bluefish, sea mullet, and croakers the rest of the morning. Rodanthe Pier at 5 degrees warmer at 79 degrees. Had some spot, they had some blowtoads. They also caught some Spanish mackerel. They also caught some sea mullet. I'm not hearing any of the gold star fish like the big kings or Kobe off the end of the piers, but that will happen, and this is the time of year for that kind of thing to happen. Cobias are scattered all around. There's a few along the beach. Some of our nearshore boats have been catching them, but mostly it's small bottom fish all across the Surf and Pier report. So why don't we take a break right here, and I'll come back and talk to you a little bit about the backcountry and what's going on there. Are you ready for a fishing thrill like no other?
Oh, there he is! There he is! Oh, got him up!
As seen on WikiTune at Outer Banks, the Carolina Girl, captained by majestic Jesse Anderson, is a custom, luxurious, 53-foot Jarrett Bay built boat running out of Hatteras Harbor Marina. Let Jesse and her crew give you a fishing experience of a lifetime. To book a trip, go online to CarolinaGirlSportFishing.com. Carolina Girl Sport Fishing, your offshore adventure awaits. So in the backcountry, it's scrappy. It is scrappy back there too, and has been for a while. Some reports are pretty gloomy. The Miss Organellet's catching a mixture of bottom fish and a few flounder, which they have to throw back. But they're catching croakers, they're catching spot, and then bluefish. Also, occasionally, boats fishing in the sound are catching sheephead, but the big drum bite seems to sputtered out for now. We'll keep you posted if any of that changes. We do know that the small drum bite, the puppy drum, red drum, back of Hatteras Island has been picking up a little bit. There are waders, and that's the most enjoyable fishing on the Outer Banks is to wade fish. And they're catching a few more puppy drum than they were, and also a few bluefish. Speckled trout bite has not developed yet, so we're still waiting to see what happens with that. And then finally, I want to say a quick congratulations to the boats that placed 1, 2, and 3 in the 67th annual Hatteras Marlin Club Billfish Release Tournament. I had a great week in Hatteras, thanks to Laura Young, tournament director down that way. And the Simple Man won the tournament. We had said that in the early part of last week, 1,540 points on the strength of 3 blue marlin and 2 sailfish releases, followed by the number 2 boat, which was the Kimberly Dawn, with 1,120 points on the strength of 2 blue marlin and 2 sailfish. And then the Outlaw finished in third, an old sentimental favorite, 840 points on 2 blue marlin, but on the last day of fishing, he had a breakdown. He didn't get out there till halfway through the morning, but he still hung on to third place on time because he caught his 2 blue marlin early. Anyway, it was a great tournament. That one's in the books. Next tournament coming up will be the Dare County Boat Builders Tournament, and that's coming up in 3 weeks, and we'll be right there for all the action. We'll keep you posted. In the meantime, go wet a line. You're not going to catch them in the motel room, and while you're out there standing on the beach looking at that beautiful sun coming up, just let the good Lord bless you richly.